let's go there and talk about, again, the theme DHS, the theme maybe this gets worse before it gets better.
Yeah.
And let's talk about the threat and risk around the midterms, and specifically some statements that have caught my attention coming from the new guy. I don't know when we stop calling him the new guy, but Markwayne Mullin, Secretary of Homeland Security, who, when I mention Markwayne Mullin now, I also will call him Kratom, which is because we found out recently, of course, that he has a large financial stake in a Kratom company.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, he has said on the air that he thinks, with regard to the question of whether he could see federal agents at the polls and ICE agents specifically, he said, well, ICE has the ability to flex, and we flex when we need to respond to threats, like a bomb threat. Okay. Yeah. So
that's not the ICE. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm 25 years in the FBI. I don't know anything about ICE responding to bomb threats. So what do you think is going on right now in Mullin's head, but more significantly in Trump's head with regard to the possible positioning of federal agents and or troops at polls? And don't forget, soon to be, we think, Attorney General Todd Blanche has also said at a CPAC conference, quote, something like, I don't understand what people are all upset about with regard to ICE at the polls.
Yeah. So ICE is now funded to be the largest federal agency in the country, if not the world. I think it might be the world, much bigger than the FBI now. They've been onboarding people, a lot of them not terribly qualified. We've seen some of the consequences of that. But ICE has become, in their mind, Trump's personal sort of military, right? So none of these guys, Blanche, Mullin, none of them will push back on Trump and say, look, if we have reason to believe that there's an ICE related issue at a voting place, we would use them. But otherwise, look, as you know, a bomb threat is going to be handled by state and federal law enforcement folks like the FBI or the state police. And so I think what you're seeing is they are greasing the runway for what is clearly going to be a deployment, in particular by Mullin, to voting areas. And again, this will be litigated. Whether it's stopped, we don't know. But I remind people, it's scary. It might have a limiting effect. I'm of the belief now, given his lack of popularity, that moves like that actually hurt him more, because Democrats are only going to be completely fired up for this kind of stuff. I mean, this is the kind of thing where they're going to stand in long lines and heckle ICE folks. It could get violent, it could get ugly, but none of it will be defensible. And that we have to remember, like the narrative is on our side. And however you feel about the American public and why aren't people more outraged and whatever, they're showing their outrage in sort of disgust, right? I mean, people are disgusted by this. And I'm not just talking about Democrats. I look at these numbers, like it's, he's hit his floor and now he only has to go below his floor. So we'll see. And also remember, the other thing to remember is that the deployment of ICE will be met by the deployment of state and local police. That we have seen DHS retract when that happens. And so you're just going to have to see, unfortunately, governors and mayors in places that matter are going to have to sort of, what I said, flex as well. But this is definitely part of their plan. If not stopped by court beforehand, it's going to require lots of Americans to be willing to stand in line.
Yeah, it may, as you're implying, it may actually result in record turnouts.
I think it. I'm amazed. because I live, I mean, this too. Since Trump, like, oh, there's a persona about people like us, like we're like big radicals or, whatever. It's like, this is like furthest from like any plan any of us had for our lives. We were pro-government, pro-law enforcement, or we are pro-government, pro-law enforcement, pro-institutions. But there are forces now in leadership that empower, that are against that. And
That's right.
We're a microcosm of the anger and angst that exists out there. It's just a matter of, at least in 2026, which I think, I mean, I never predict anything anymore, but at least the metrics suggest Trump knows what's coming.
Yeah, I mean, I do see a potential scorched earth strategy coming, and in some places that could get ugly. Even in a red state like Texas, you could see the governor. It's a mess, right? Millions of Latino voters. So you've got you could have television screens showing brown people being stopped in parking lots of polling places, and they demand citizenship, and the governor going, "Oh my God, I these are my constituents. I don't, it's a mess."
Yeah, it's a mess, and I mean, that's exactly right. It's just these images of what, a Hispanic looking grandmother, like the idea that she, is a threat to American democracy is absurd. And look, I mean, I do still believe in reality and truthiness, I think. And I think what Trump is experiencing now is it is very hard to change that narrative. You've watched Fox News enough, you might believe it, but at least what I'm looking at, the American public is not believing it. They like voting. They like voting for the people that they want at the top of the ballot. And look, Mullen did something yesterday where I thought, God, this guy really is in the tank. I don't know if you saw this piece where he accused the head of the Iranian Soccer Federation. We're in the middle of the World Cup, and the Iranians are being forced to stay in Mexico and only fly in the day of, which is just inconsistent with everything that one believes in these global competitions. And he made an allegation out of nowhere that the Iranian head of soccer tried to sneak into the nation. And you're like, okay, that one is like absurd. And second, like proof, like show us proof, but they don't have it. Push back.
Come on. And we'll get to the World Cup. That was a good game. I watched Iran yesterday. They played to a tie